The GPU cycle market is a commodity market, right? A lot of AI applications use the GPU to power themselves, and they're buying GPU cycles from central servers, and the cost of the GPU cycles are going up because the demand is far exceeding the supply. So what we're doing instead is targeting those people who have a gaming system at home who've got GPU cycles that they don't use when they go to bed at night or they go off for the day or to school or to work, whichever. And so what we do is we make available a device that makes their gaming rig a node on our network, and then they sell to us their GPU cycles that they're not using because they're away from their machine, and we pay them for the amount of game cycles that they provide to our network.
Thanks for coming on. Just wanted to get us kicked off with a really interesting excerpt I read from one of your blog posts about cloud gaming. So I guess for people that don't know, cloud gaming is an extension of cloud computing. Obviously, it's kind of powered by a lot of the same tech. And the growth numbers are insane. So user numbers have tripled from 21 to 23. It's 300 million players worldwide that play cloud gaming games. And the revenue numbers, I think, are growing at an even faster rate. So the CAGR is 47% through 2032. It's projected to be a $143 billion market by then. So pretty crazy growth numbers. I don't think you see a 50% CAGR over 10 years really in any other industry. What's your experience been, with cloud computing growth, and like where do you see it going over the next few years?
Well, what we hear from a lot of people is that it would be even faster today if it wasn't so expensive, right? The central servers, to host it on like an Amazon server is about 93 cents per user hour. So it's expensive. So that's holding a lot of studios back, and then doing their own infrastructure just doesn't have the reach. And then Google Stadia, which was, really put their foot into it. They really thought they could settle it. The other problem that we're solving with the DePIN, that's if the end user is too far away from that central server, then there's lag from the distance, so they can't overcome it. So there's a lot of interest in it because we're getting more people playing on mobile devices, but they can't run the 3D experiences, the high-end ones on the mobile devices because they don't have the graphics power. But cloud gaming addresses that. So if you were able to have, low latency and you were able to afford having a central server, then you'd see a lot more cloud gaming adoption on mobile devices and on lower-end laptops. So what we set out to do with the DePIN is to solve those two problems of the cost and the latency issue.
I saw that basically YOM empowers maybe the removal or the end of like Xboxes and PlayStations in terms of having to have dedicated consoles. So what can you tell me and our audience about basically playing AAA games on maybe any screen or streaming those to any screen?
Yeah, I don't think that those will ever really go away. I think we end up being complementary in a lot of ways, and then we end up, there's competition there, but it's not really competition because there's going to be people who are always, I say always, but there'll be a lot of people who still want to have a console or have a high-end gaming rig at home. What we're aiming to do is to allow all those people who maybe can't afford to do that, or even the ones who have the gaming systems, but they just want to try the game for a little bit before they make the investment into buying the whole thing. If you remember back in the days when PC Gamer magazine would come out with a sample disc that would ship with the, in the sleeve of the magazine, and you test out like 7 or 8 games before you had to download. They'd have a sample level. So that what we do is we allow for that as well. So we end up being an opening of the funnel to those game studios who want to reach a larger audience, who maybe they have the equipment but they haven't decided to download yet. But they can sample the game on their website. And then at the end of that sample level, it goes to the full download and the full purchase. So those kinds of the technology is also available. So I'm not sure that get to the crux of your question.
Yeah, I think so. And it kind of mirrors the same physical to digital transition that, like, say Netflix had, right? You used to go to those like little red kiosks and get the actual disc and rent it for the movie for that night. And now you can just stream things. And it just removes a lot of the friction.
It truly is. What we're doing, it mimics a lot of the way that you see an embedded video, like a YouTube video embedded on a website or embedded, you send it around the link through, if you send them a link around through, say, Telegram, right? And it gives you can play the video inside of Telegram. Well, what our technology essentially is, instead of having that be a one-way video stream, It's an interactive video stream. So what we give is the line of code that you would install into any URL or send through Telegram to play the game from our network, as opposed to having to download and install it. So for games who want to spread themselves to new players fast, this is another great use case for what we're giving, because you can send, again, the link to the game. I can send you a link to the game on Telegram, and you and I are playing immediately together, as opposed to having to wait for you to download and install the game. It's a much faster spread for viral spread of a video game. It's a much better way to do it. So beyond just the samples, that's the other added benefit of having this kind of technology available.
Yeah, so it's kind of like games have gone from physical discs to downloadable applications to streamable applications that you don't even need to download and use a bunch of storage space on your computer or your gaming device.
Right. And then again, people who have a laptop that they got for just do homework on or something small like that, or they want to play on their phone. They got the game installed at home, but they also want to play when they're on the train into work. You know, they've got an hour train ride or commute or something like that. They can pop out their phone and continue playing on the same account, the same game, while they're, you know, doing their commute.
So that's super cool. Yeah. And so how does a DePIN play into this? How do latent gaming GPUs play into this? You know, what's your network looking like?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I had not considered it until I got involved with YOM, but the GPU cycle market it's a commodity market, right? A lot of AI applications use the GPU to power themselves, and they're buying GPU cycles from central servers, and the cost of the GPU cycles are going up because the demand is far exceeding the supply. So what we're doing instead is targeting those people who have a gaming system at home, who've got GPU cycles that they don't use when they go to bed at night, or they go off for the day, or to school or to work, whichever. And so what we do is we make available a device that makes their gaming rig a node on our network, and then they sell to us their GPU cycles that they're not using because they're away from their machine, and we pay them for the amount of game cycles that they provide to our network.
Very cool. Gotcha. And your token's live on Solana. What's it been like building there? Like, what have you liked about the ecosystem and the support you've received?
So the ed team tells me they very much like working with Solana. It's a very simple, easy system to use, and they've been doing it for a while. Of course, cost is super low, so that helps in the early stages of development. Having a low cost development environment was really, really helpful. But we use the token as a payment system only, really. That's the whole function for our YOM tokens, to pay the node operators in an automated way. We sell game hours on the network through the YOM token, and then we take a portion of it for ourselves, but then we pay the majority of the reward goes to the node operators. But then we also burn, in that reward cycle, we also burn 5%. We have a cap supply. We only have so much YOM token that's been ever minted, and they burn 5% during the reward cycle. So we're decreasing the amount of YOM tokens available as we increase the amount of game hours put on the network to make the token deflationary. And this is the part of the system that we're working with. So how has it been for our development team? They like it a lot. We have opportunities to partner with other projects, and we're taking a look at that too, other chains, but really layer 0 is our goal to get across. So we enabled EVM chains as well. But for the games themselves, again, there's no real interaction with our blockchain at all. It's any Unreal project can be on the network. Those games that are using blockchain for their token, for their transactions, if they're using Polygon, they're using Solana, they're using any EVM. And then what we do from our SDK is activate the browser-based wallet. So it allows for, any kind of game, any chain that has a browser-based wallet can be deployed on our system and activate. Our network doesn't get in the middle of any of the blockchain transactions. If their game is using Avalanche, Polygon, Solana, it doesn't really matter to us because we're just opening up the wallet from the browser.
Super cool. Gotcha. I mean, I saw some marketing or endorsement of the Peak team as well. Are you guys thinking about going multi-chain or, facilitating payment in multiple tokens, that type of thing?
The partnership with Peak has really been about the node licenses. So we're in order to get these nodes available, these devices, we have to have a way to make a connection between the wallet that's holding that's going to receive the rewards and the physical device. So to do that, we're doing a node license. It's a specialized version of an NFT that has that one-on-one chain connection. And Peak is really focused on the DePIN space. So we like the idea of being with a chain for these node licenses that really understands what a DePIN is and the power of it. So that's what we're using them for here at the beginning. And they're gonna help us make that connection. Whichever wallet is holding the license that we've created that's tied to the device, and the streaming hours are rewarded to that wallet holder.
Awesome. And then in terms of the node sale, is it currently live? And when do you think you'll ship hardware? And what does the hardware do? We talked a bit about it, but I just want to convey those to the listener.
We have an allow list on our website that you can go to and sign up to be alerted when the sale goes live. The sale's not live yet. We're doing some friends and family sales because we want to. One thing that we're trying to avoid doing, we've seen with the too many DePINs, is they sell a whole bunch of the hardware out into the market, but there's no demand yet for the network. So people are sitting on these nodes and not really, they're being underwhelmed by their performance. So we don't want to do that. We want to have some games running and then sell some nodes, and some game running and sell some more nodes, and kind of always have a reward level for the node operators. So we don't have the sales going out just yet. Now the hardware we expect being shipped by middle of next year. So we'll do the node license launch sometime the Q1 of next year. So that's tied pretty closely together, and you're not we're not holding your money without ever giving you some kind of reward. We also have a plan to talk about how we reward people who are just holding the licenses who aren't yet powering the network, because there's some parts of their involvement that are valuable to us.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And then what kind of demand are you looking to serve? Or are you serving any today? And also, how do you plan to accrue that demand to the token that you're rewarding people with?
Yeah, it's so we did numbers on how many nodes you need to operate to be worldwide, and sample a big chunk of the cloud gaming network. It's a lot. We eventually need to go into the retail sales space. But here at the very beginning, what we've done, we've got a few studios who are helping us with our test cases. We have one game that's going on the first node live already that we've tested out. Can we run a game? What's the latency at large distances? Mm-hmm. And then we're working with some agencies who have been doing branded experiences for what do you call them? High luxury items, right? The metaverse scene that we saw 3 or 4 years ago. There's still some spaces that are still using that as a way to sell, mostly in the Middle East. So we're still working with them, but really we're partnered with the Blackmouth Games. Donation's a great looking game. It's getting ready to launch at the beginning of next year. They'll probably be our first big test case, though we are talking to some other partners as well. And again, we don't want to get over our skis and promise a whole bunch of games and not have the network to support that. So we're being cautious about a rollout that makes sense, that doesn't leave either the game studios wondering why they can't reach more players, or the node operators wondering why they're not making anything off their nodes.
Definitely. Yeah, just not overloading supply without having enough demand.
Fortunately, in the gaming world, demand it's so easy to find, because I think you probably know this already, but the gaming industry is generating more revenue than music, movies, and TV combined. It's a massive. And as you said from that article, the cloud gaming market is getting ready to really soar as you've got more and more people buying these mobile devices and better bandwidth everywhere. People are looking for ways to play games off the cloud more and more. So we're expecting a lot of growth. And again, it's a good market for us to get into. Demand is not really going to be an issue for us. It's a matter of making sure our supply catches up to demand at all times.
For sure. And then from a technical perspective, when you're talking about latency and having enough nodes distributed around the world in the right places, is cloud gaming kind of like a CDN network in the sense that you need to have nodes geographically somewhat close to people that are actually playing the game, so that there's not as much literal distance that has to be traveled by the data?
Yeah, it's similar to that. What was surprising was our test that we ran was our first node is in Amsterdam at one of our engineers' homes. Right, this is the one that we run constantly. And again, the device is really just a small SSD. I'm here in the States, so we sent the link out to each other in Amsterdam. But I said I'm going to hit the link too. Amazingly, I was able to play the game with playable latency. It was not as smooth as we'd want for final shipping. But it's a third-person shooter and it needs to be pretty reactive. And right now, I have the highest score at the studio for this game, this little sample game that we made. So
nice.
The latency was really amazing. We were surprised by it, and when we run that same game off of an Amazon server in Europe, that was our first test some weeks ago, and I couldn't play that. I couldn't play off the Amazon server in Amsterdam, but off the node itself, I could. And I dug into that to find out why. And what I was told is that central servers, they're not really built to stream games, even the good Amazon ones. And even if they were, if they were to change the architecture to allow for it more often, again, the competition for GPU cycles is going to be so dramatic in the coming years. All the AI demands is going to bring the price of those GPU cycles. I say it's 93 cents a user hour now. My expectation is it's just going to go up even higher because there's going to be more demand for those cycles. So if you've got a good GPU at home, sit on it because it's going to be valuable to you. In the same way that it always has been for blockchain mining, it's going to be available. It's going to be valuable for other aspects like what we're doing.
Right. So online, I saw you have 385 plus, might be a bit higher, GPUs on the network currently. You said you've kind of done a very limited friends and family testing phase.
That's signups for the initial phase. That's a whitelist application. We haven't got that many nodes circulated just yet. So yeah, I don't want to misrepresent that. No, that's the people who have signed on for, and we've done minimal marketing to get it out there. But I think it's actually higher than that now. It's somewhere north of 400. North of 500 signups right now. But these are for people who want to get the nodes as soon as we get the physical devices ready. They're ready to buy.
Gotcha. Okay, so then in terms of the supply side for GPUs, what's kind of your go-to-market strategy to find those people to convince them to allocate their GPUs to your network versus, one of the many other kind of decentralized compute networks out there? I think having them purchase and also deploy kind of a physical piece of hardware, there's definitely some kind of customer buy-in there, which I think will be good. But yeah, talk to me about kind of acquiring and then maintaining supply side of gaming computers.
Yeah, so our return on the node investment can be up to like north of 400%. Depending on how much you run your node, you can actually earn pretty good. So I think the rate of return is helpful to us. But our plan really is to talk to. We have several syndicates who have already come on board. We've got gaming communities that we're going to be reaching out to as well, because this first series of nodes, they'll be able to be whitelisted. White labeled, so that any pick a game, like say Donation, if they wanted to make nodes available to sell with a Donation brand on the node, and therefore people who own those nodes, beyond getting the YOM token as rewards, could also be getting tokens for the game itself. They could be getting special airdrops and rewards, but it wouldn't be everyone in the first 10,000 series. It would only be the, say, 300 who are owning their nodes. And that's that can be a valuable, because of the scarcity, it can be valuable as well if all of a sudden this game is taking off and the only way to get a certain item in the game is to own one of the nodes and operate it. That could be another reason to drive the sales.
For sure. Got to take advantage of the early adopter kind of benefits that exist in crypto.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Have you played Off the Grid?
I have not. I've watched a lot of videos. It's got me very hungry to play, but just time-wise, it's been very, very hard for me to get to. Have you played it yet? Do you like it?
True. I have not played it, but I've also seen screenplay, and it looks great. It looks like one of the first high quality kind of AAA crypto games, which I think the crypto gaming space needs. Is and I know those take time, right? I know studios take years to develop.
I expect we're going to see more games like that too. We've had about 4 years since the real Web3 gaming cycle has started. So all those games that take a long time to develop, they're getting ready to start popping out onto the market. And I really do like what Off the Grid did with keeping the blockchain aspects of it quiet enough that people who aren't familiar with it or aren't comfortable with it, they're not really recognizing that's what they're doing.
100%. While also still having some actual blockchain components, which is cool, instead of just throwing those all out the door. But yeah, I think it probably takes, you would know better than me, but 2, 3, 4 years even of kind of R&D and testing and development. So a lot of the gaming studios, the crypto gaming studios that got funded in the kind of metaverse NFT hype of 21 are hopefully coming to market here shortly.
Yeah, that's my expectation. Yeah, it can take up to 4 or 5 years to really do a solid release. It's true.
For sure. Well, awesome. Jeff, where would you like to send our listeners to in terms of getting involved or just finding out more about you guys on the internet?
Yeah, if you can, our website is yom.ooo. So it's very easy to find if you just remember it's in the OOO part. So you start from our website, but I do like our Discord and Telegram communities. Both of them are really active, and there's a lot of fun that's happening there. I'm pretty proud of the Medium articles that we release on a fairly regular basis, because the technology that we're talking about is not just for games, though it's a place we're starting. There's all kinds of social gaming aspects to it. There's ways that we can stream to, because it's just a two-way stream. We can stream to inside of Netflix and like I said, Telegram. We're streaming inside of Telegram already. So there's a lot of articles about that. I like our media more. And then we're doing now town halls every Thursday night. So we later on today, I'll be recording, actually in about an hour, I'll be recording our next town hall. We're having guests on. So we do the same kind of thing. And I think our YouTube channel is starting to really offer some valuable insights into what we're building. So I like to point people there as well.
Awesome. Well, great to hear. And thank you very much for coming on. Looking forward to get this episode out there.
Yeah, Connor, I appreciate these questions. They're really smart questions. And I appreciate the time letting us talk about YOM.
Absolutely.